श्रीराघवम् दशरथात्मजमप्रमेयम् सीतापतिम् रघुकुलान्मयरत्नदीपम् आजानुबाहुम् अरविन्ददलायताक्षम् रामम् निशाचर विनाशकरम् नमामि नमामि नमामि
Ramakatha Rasavahini, Chapter 17, Part 2. In this manner, Bharadwaja, the great sage, praised Bharata for his manifold virtues and excellences. While speaking in this strain, tears of joy rolled down the cheeks of the revered ascetic. Bharata and Shatrughna had their mind fixed on Rama and his limitless love. They felt fortunate indeed to be his brothers, but the joy was extinguished at the thought that they themselves had been exiled from the presence of that embodiment of love. They were plunged in gloom, unbearable agony, and inexpressible grief. In a voice choked by anguish, Bharata said, raising up from the prostration he offered to the sage, "Master, you are aware of the past, present, and future. You spoke the very truth. You are master of the highest truth. Rama is unbeatable in skill and power. I have resolved to utter only the truth in your presence. Rama knows the workings of people's minds and what is agitating them. At present, I have no grief over the wrong committed by my mother. I have no fear that the people will blame me for the tragedy that has befallen them. I have no despair even when it is announced that I am ineligible for heaven. My father earned high renown. Though dead, his fame has spread over the entire world. The very instance that his beloved son Rama left his presence with Lakshmana, he gave up the bubble breath. He couldn't survive the bolt of that tragedy. Therefore, there is no need to be anxious anymore about him. But Sita, Rama and Lakshmana are moving about barefooted, donning the robes of ascetics. They sit on mats of kusha grass and reside in leaf-thatched huts. They are fried by the sun, soaked by rain. They shiver in the cold and bear its pangs. They are undergoing untold hardships in the forest, aren't they? Now tell me, am I not the sole cause of all these hardships? This sad fact is eating me throughout the day and night. Food refuses to enter my stomach. Sleep refuses to close my eyelids. The crookedness of my mother's mind has become a dagger sticking in my heart. The stratagem she devised to install me on the throne has turned into a trap to ruin me. The agony that is gnawing me from within cannot be appeased whatever is done. Nothing can cure it. It will end only on the day when Rama returns to Ayodhya. No other remedy can destroy this agony. The monks who had gathered were delighted to hear these words from the prince. Bharadwaja told him, "Son, don't grieve anymore. The moment your eyes fall on Rama's lotus feet, the burden of grief that torments you is certain to disintegrate and disappear." The ascetics also consoled him in many ways. Meanwhile, Bharadwaja beckoned to a pupil and directed him to bring roots, tubers and fruits for Bharata and Shatrughna. He also ordered his pupil to arrange for the supply of food to the aides, ministers, courtiers and citizens of Ayodhya, all of whom had borne uncomplainingly many a hardship on the way in their eagerness to have the sight of Rama, and who were afflicted in mind by the agony of separation from their beloved Lord. Complying with that order most reverentially, the pupil quickly offered plentiful repast to all the guests. For the princes, Bharata and Shatrughna, their families, the ministers and courtiers, the pandits and brahmins, hospitality was arranged on an elaborate festive scale. Everything was produced plentifully and perfectly through the ascetic's mysterious willpower itself. Bharata was filled with wonder. But it must be said that not only the two brothers, but the entire gathering from Ayodhya looked upon the pomp and profusion as mere trash. They were not charmed in the least. The scents, the bouquets of fragrant flowers, the juicy fruits and the attractive tasty dishes struck them with awe. The two resplendent seats specially set up for Bharata and Shatrughna defied all descriptions. When all was ready, the sage invited everyone inside a specially erected hall where they had to partake of the banquet. They entered that marvel of beauty. The royal preceptor and his consort were led to high seats reserved for them. The queens entered the place that was covered and cordoned off for their sake. Bending under the weight of sorrow, they too complied with the sage's command. Then the bright-faced disciples of the sage brought in Bharata and Shatrughna with all due honor in accordance with the practice of that renowned hermitage. The young ascetics stood on both sides of the passage, waving yak-tail whisks and reciting scriptural hymns. The brothers approached the magnificent seats set for them, but as soon as they came near, they bowed their heads and fell on the floor in respectful obeisance. They took the whisks from the hands of the pupils and started waving them reverentially, standing one on each side of the lion thrones. They were adoring the thrones instead of sitting in them. All present were surprised at this gesture, this homage offered to the empty thrones. When the sage invited them to occupy the thrones, Bharata and Shatrughna fell at his feet and implored, "Master, these thrones belong to Sita and Rama, not to us. We have no right to them. In this holy hermitage, only those two, Goddess Lakshmi and Narayana, have the title to sit on lion thrones. We are their servants. Please permit us to serve them thus." The ascetics and the entire assembly were thrilled with joyous apprehension. They extolled among themselves the immense depth of devotion of the brothers for Rama. Tears of joy flowed from their eyes. The monks were astounded at the faith and its steadfastness. The brothers offered the elaborate fare to the thrones, picturing them as being occupied by the charming figures of Sita and Rama. A little while after, they broke off small particles from the offered dishes and, placing them adoringly on their eyelids, ate them as sacramental food. The elders, ministers, aides and residents of Ayodhya craved pardon from the sage Bharadwaja for not eating, since, as they said, they could not relish any food, overwhelmed as they were by the agony of separation from Rama. They refused to eat, for they felt that only the sight of Rama could give them the sense of contentment. That was the nectarine feast for which they yearned. They were plunged in gloom as deep as the standard of the sage's hospitality was high. They said They were too engrossed in the anxiety for the sight of Rama to entertain the idea of food. The sage finally had to accede to their wish to be left alone. He could not prevail upon them to sit down at the feast. Everyone got ready to start for the forest, even as early as the first intimations of the dawn. They prostrated before the sage and secured his blessings and permission before leaving the hermitage. The servants walked in advance, showing them the way, and the palanquins and chariots followed immediately after. Bharata walked behind, with his head on the shoulder of the chieftain of the Nishadas, Guha. He appeared as the very personification of fraternal love and devotion. He had no footwear to guard against thorns and pebbles. He allowed no one to bring him footwear. He had no umbrella to guard against the scorching sun. He allowed no one to hold one above him. But the earth took pity on him and made his path soft and sweet. The wind comforted him, blowing cool and gentle all through the journey. The sun drew a cloud between him and itself. They reached the bank of the river Yamuna at evening. Throughout the night, birds were gathering by the bank in countless numbers. Hence, at daybreak, the entire mass of people could ferry over at the same time. Then they finished their bath, prostrated before the holy river in reverential gratitude, and proceeded forward. Thenceforward, Bharata and Shatrughna moved on in the robes of recluses into which they had changed. With them walked the ministers, the companions of the princess, and their aides, carrying pictures of Sita and Rama in their hearts. While on the march, inhabitants of the villages on the way stood in awe at the strange crowds that passed along. Women walked towards the river for water, placed their pots on the ground, and stood stunned, looking at the brothers without even blinking their eyes for a moment. They wondered who they were and concluded that they were the same two brothers, Rama and Lakshmana, passing through again, this time without Sita, but accompanied by armed forces, chariots, elephants, horses, and foot soldiers. They wondered where Sita was. They searched for her amidst the moving mass with eager curiosity, and they shared their disappointment with their friends in sad whispers. The other day when we saw Rama and Lakshmana, the brothers shone with the splendor of physical charm, youth, virtue, and intelligence. But now some sadness clouds their faces, so these might not be those who passed this way that day, argued a woman in the group. Their conversation was overheard by one of the spies of the royal entourage, who reported it to Bharata. Meanwhile, the women came to know that they were Rama's brothers going to where Rama was to see the Lord. At this, one rough-natured woman burst into rage. She exclaimed, "Ruling over the empire that his father gave him, look at this person, going to have sight of his brother Rama, accompanied by the armed forces. Has he no sense of shame?" Another woman interrupted her. "Sister, don't talk so. Our emperor, Dasharatha's children, could never have hearts so hard. He must be going to Rama with the various units of the armed forces to pray to Rama and persuade him to return to Ayodhya, to take him back with imperial honors." A third woman agreed with this interpretation. Yes, yes. Who knows which snake rests in which hole on the earth? No one can pronounce on the nature of another. Who can judge the feelings and motives that prompt others to action? They may be of very high order, for all we know, but Rama is the firm adherent of truth. He won't return to Ayodhya until the full 14 years are spent in exile. Whoever might plead with him and pray to him, this is my belief. She expressed her noble sentiments in this manner. The spies reported the conversation of these village women to Bharata and Shatrughna. They were delighted to know that those unsophisticated women from the rural regions had grasped Rama's greatness to such an amazing extent. Thus, they walked along listening to the people's admiration for the virtues of Rama and for their own humility and fraternal devotion. Every moment, their minds were fixed only on Rama. They encountered many Brahmins, ascetics, monks, and other holy men as they walked on, and all were engaged in the pleasant task of extolling Rama and his virtues. On seeing them, Bharata prostrated before them and asked where they were coming from. When the holy men struggled to master the surging waves of ecstasy and at last succeeded in discovering their voices in order to reply, Bharata voiced them in eager expectancy. When they said they were returning after seeing Sita, Rama and Lakshmana, the brothers fell flat on the ground before them and rose with tears of joy streaming down their cheeks. They said, "Oh, how fortunate you are! Tell us, how far away are they? Where are they?" They asked about the health and welfare of those holy men. Learning from them that they had to continue the journey for some distance more, they decided to spend the night where they were. The moment they saw the peak, the two brothers and the citizens of Ayodhya prostrated on the ground in reverence. Rising, they walked forward with renewed vigor. Those who were exhausted and had despaired of further exertion suddenly found that they had developed elephantine resources of energy. They walked fast without paying attention to their physical condition. Those who bore the palanquins and had trudged along on bleeding soles suddenly found reinforcements of strength by cheering, "Hail! Hail!" and reciting Rama's name. That day, Rama had risen from sleep even before dawn. He told Sita that his father was coming into his consciousness more often than on other days. Sita replied, "Lord, you know that I don't get any dreams, but this night I had a very wonderful dream. I can even say it wasn't really a dream. I dreamt that Bharata and Shatrughna had become frail and weak as a result of separation from you. Finding it impossible to be in Ayodhya for a single moment without you, they were coming to us with not only the people of Ayodhya, but also the queens Kausalya, Sumitra and Kaikeyi." Tears gathered in her eyes while she described the experience. Rama called Lakshmana and told him, "Brother, you heard, didn't you, about Sita's dream? This does not indicate good tidings, for Sita saw all the others, and I saw in my dream only father alone, with no association or relation with the rest of them. This strikes me as a bad omen. Come, it is best we take a bath." And the three of them went to the river for the bath. Just then, birds flew across the sky in flocks, and the northern region was darkened by a thick cloud of dust. Many animals and birds were scared into wild haste. Taking note of this unusual occurrence, Lakshmana climbed a tree to find out the reason. He saw an army on the move with infantry, cavalry, chariotry and elephantry advancing to where they were. He inferred that a king was at their head. He informed Rama. Rama told him that it was Sita's dream coming true. He advised that the best course would be to return quickly to the thatch, the Parnasala. Meanwhile, the Bills, Kiratas and other tribesmen of the jungle ran to Rama and gasped out the news that a regular military force was advancing towards the spot and that the chariot of the royal leader of the army had a flag with the sign of the banyan tree upon it. Sita, Rama and Lakshmana were confirmed in their inference that it was no other than Bharata. They had no more doubt on that point. Lakshmana started quaking with anger. When coming to have the sight of Rama, why bring troops in full strength? He argued. That vile woman, his mother, must have advised him, and he seems to have accepted her wicked stratagem to attack the lonely and unarmed Rama in his jungle retreat and ensure that he does not return and reign. Lakshmana was consumed by the flames of anger that rose in him. His eyes were reduced to red-hot coals. His words became sharp as sword thrusts. Rama realized the change that had come over him. Lakshmana, forbear. Don't be agitated. Be calm. Bharata is strong in virtue. His love is immeasurable. He adds lustre to the royal line of Ikshvaku, like the lotus to the lake. It is not proper to cast aspersions on one so pure, so immaculate and holy. Thus describing the exact nature of Bharata's motives and mind, Rama succeeded in quietening Lakshmana's upsurge of anger. Very soon, Bharata himself sent word through some forest dwellers that he was seeking the sight of Rama along with his brother Shatrughna and their attendants and followers. Rama felt glad when this happy news was brought to him. Like lakes in late autumn, his lotus eyes were filled with water. All this happened while Rama, Lakshmana and Sita were returning in haste to the thatch after their hurried bath. Bharata saw them when they reached the cottage of grass. Torn by agony, he shouted distressingly in extreme agony, "Rama!" He fell flat on Rama's feet and sobbed aloud. When Lakshmana saw Bharata's anguish at the separation from them, he realized that his estimate of intentions was very wrong. He suffered terrible contrition within himself. His head was bent by the weight of sorrow. He shed profuse tears along with Bharata and Shatrughna. Rama raised his brothers from the ground and sought to calm their feelings and quieten their grief. While he was so engaged, the queens, Kausalya, Sumitra and Kaikeyi, and the ministers, the royal preceptor Vasishtha, the pandits and citizens, and the members of the armed forces came near and were overcome by both grief and joy when they saw Rama. Their sorrow when they saw Rama in hermit's robes by the side of the lowly hut could not be wiped out by the joy of setting their eyes on their dearly beloved prince. They wailed and wept, shedding tears of grief and gratitude. The cry, "Rama! Rama!" rose from their torn hearts and spread over the vast expanse of earth and sky. Rama spoke to them softly and sweetly and persuaded them to control their emotions. Then he walked towards the mother, but he could not bear to look on that picture of misfortune and misery. He became aware of the calamity that had befallen, but he soon consoled and comforted himself. He drew Lakshmana near him and told him the fact. Feeling that it would be better for Lakshmana to be informed more fully, he asked Sumantra, the loyal minister of the line, to relate to him the details regarding the administration of Ayodhya. Sumantra fell down, unable to bear his grief. Struggling to rise, he said amidst sobs, "Lakshmana, where can we have Dasharatha hereafter? He has reduced to ashes by the flames of sorrow at being separated from Rama, Sita and you. Ayodhya has become a jungle. Wherever you look, you see only sorrow. Whatever you hear only wailing. Not merely people, even birds and animals cast off their lives when you left. Those who survive are keeping alive in the hope of your return." Hearing this, Lakshmana shed streams of tears. He stood like a stump, unable to reply. Lakshmana approached Rama and told him in a faltering voice, "I could not imagine, even in my dreams, that such a terrible calamity would happen. We could not see our father in his last moments." Rama consoled him, saying that there was no profit in grieving over what has already come to pass. Physical bodies are as transient as bubbles in water. They are bound to burst and disappear, if not today, at least the day after. He gave expression to many a moral maxim until both brothers went to the river to finish the bath ritually laid down when one hears of the death of those who are near of kin. Meanwhile, Sita went towards her mothers-in-law and touched their feet in great reverence. She also prostrated before the feet of the royal preceptor's wife. She met the women who had come from Ayodhya and with due consideration put them at ease by a sweet welcome. When their eyes fell upon Sita, the queens wept aloud. The women from Ayodhya saw the plight of their charming young princess and were so overcome with sorrow that they too could not desist from wailing. Coming to know that Emperor Dasharatha had left the body, Sita prostrated before the queens again and again, saying, "Alas, what misfortune is ours! The emperor gave up his life because he couldn't bear separation from us." She felt that the news of Dasharatha's departure was as a thunderbolt on her heart. She and the queens wept long at the turn that events had taken. That day, no one took either food or drink. They had no mind for either. The entire day and night were spent in sorrow. End of Chapter 17, Part 2. Sai Ram.
सीता राम सीता राम सीता राम राम सीता राम सीता राम सीता राम। श्री राम जी की महिमा अपार, राम जी की महिमा अपार। सुन लो तो बेड़ा पार, सुन लो तो बेड़ा पार। श्री राम जी की महिमा अपार, राम जी की महिमा अपार। श्री राम नीरज नयना मुखारविंदा, श्यामल छवि अति सुंदर राम। करुणा स्वरूप श्री राम, निर्मल स्वभाव श्री राम। करुणा स्वरूप निर्मल स्वभाव, भक्तों के प्राण गुणशीलवान। नीरज नयना मुखारविंदा, श्यामल छवि अति सुंदर राम। रविकुल मंडन दशरथ नंदन, मुनि मनरंजन नयन विराम। राम श्री राम श्री राम श्री राम राम श्री राम। श्री राम जी की महिमा अपार, राम जी की महिमा अपार। जय जय श्री राम, जय जय श्री राम, जय जय श्री राम। जिनकी कृपा ने आखर बितारे, एक ही बाण ने दुष्ट संहारे। जिनकी कृपा ने पाथर बितारे, एक ही बाण ने दुष्ट संहारे। चरणों की धूल ने पापी उधारे, जन्मदिन उन्हीं का मना लो आज, जन्मदिन उन्हीं का मना लो आज। मुबारक हो सबको जन्मदिन की रात। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम। राम सीता राम सीता राम सीता राम, राम सीता राम सीता राम सीता राम। श्री राम जी की महिमा अपार, राम जी की महिमा अपार। सुन लो तो बेड़ा पार, सुन लो तो बेड़ा पार। श्री राम जी की